This is not a video I would have expected to be making someday, but here we are. So I played Zenless Zone Zero at launch as soon as it came out, and I played it for about a week, I think. I think it was exactly a week. And in that week, I developed a very negative opinion of the game. I pretty much didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the combat, I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the music, I didn't like the UI, I didn't like the story. I pretty much disliked everything in the game. Couple that with some bad gacha luck, and I was ready to drop the game after a week and never come back. But I did feel that maybe there was a chance for me to come back to the game if they made a character that really appealed to me. Someone whose visual design I really liked and whose gameplay was really fun. So I paid attention to which characters were coming out, and I did log into the game to try out some of the characters like Bernice and Caesar, because I liked their designs, they looked cool. And so I logged into the game to do their trials and see what the gameplay was like. But I didn't feel like either of them was quite the one. So I kept waiting. And then Miyabi was announced for 1.4. And this was the character I was most looking forward to playing back when I was watching like beta gameplay and trailers, because they showed off Miyabi, but she wasn't in the game at launch, so I was really disappointed by that. So she's finally coming out for 1.4, and I'm thinking, I definitely have to get on to try out this character. This was always the one I was most interested in after watching like beta and trailer stuff. So I log on for 1.4, I do Miyabi's trial, and I love her gameplay. And I'm like, I think she might be the one. So I decided to get her. Because I was on a guarantee because I'd lost my 50-50 back at launch. And I had just enough summons to hit pity again. So I knew I could get her. So I just went ahead and did it. And I started playing the game again. So it has now been a week since I got Miyabi and continued to play the game. So I've played the game for a total of 2 weeks now. And it's kind of crazy to think that playing the game again in 1.4, my opinions on many things in this game have completely changed. Let's start with an easy one, the story. The main reason I hated the story at launch was the TV system. I thought the TVs were absolutely atrocious way of telling the story. It was miserable. I hated it. Well, the TVs are gone from the main story now. And holy crap, the experience of going through the story is a million times better. Like, not only is the story way more enjoyable now than it was before, but I'd even say that I think I enjoy the Zenless Zone Zero story now more than like any of the other big gacha games right now. Because the story in Zenless is so much shorter, and I appreciate it so much more because of that. You don't have all the extra fluff bullshit dialogue wasting your time. Everything's pretty quick and to the point. Things are happening. The ratio of like cutscenes and dialogue is great. I love being able to just like run through a stage during the story and just have characters talking and doing story dialogue while I'm running around a stage and fighting enemies. Not to mention, all of the animations they do in this game that are leagues above what the other games are doing, just with the characters' movements and facial expressions and all of that stuff. And also the voice acting is fantastic. So yeah, the story, very enjoyable. The next thing I want to talk about, really kind of the next two things, because they kind of go hand in hand, is the combat and the characters. So first off, a lot of the characters in this game just do not appeal to me at all. I'm not into like any of the furry characters, or even characters that have tails. I am not a fan of tails. I don't mind ears. I can handle like cat ears, fox ears, whatever, but I don't want any tail, and I certainly don't want anything more than that. And I feel like most of the characters they've released since launch have been great. I'm particularly a fan of most of the Sons of Caledon characters. I'd say except Piper. I don't really like Piper's design, but I think the rest of them look great. So the ratio of visually appealing characters for me has gone up quite a bit. And then the other thing is the combat. So initially, I thought the combat of this game was terrible. I thought it was just really mashy trash. It wasn't interesting at all. I thought it sucked. And looking back on it now, I realized that the reason I had that opinion was because I was playing very basic, mashy characters. I was maining Anby, because she was like one of the few characters in the game that I liked, and she is a very basic, mashy character. Plus the fact that she is a like a stun character, so she builds up the stun gauge really quickly, and then you're just constantly triggering chain attacks, which drove me insane. There's way too many chain attacks. I was just constantly doing chain attacks, and I didn't like that. I didn't like how often they were happening. So for me, half the combat was just mashing out the same basic string of attacks over and over and over again, and then the other half was just smashing through chain attacks. So I didn't like the combat at all. But now that I have my first limited 5-star character who has a lot more going on in their kit, I find the combat to be way more enjoyable. And it also helps a lot that Miyabi's character in particular has a kit that appeals to me a lot. Because I like characters that can like charge up a gauge or like stacks, and then you can spend different amounts of it to do different kinds of powerful attacks. And it's also just very satisfying to just do one normal attack string on like a regular enemy, fill up their like frost gauge and watch Frostburn proc on them and just explode their health bar. That's very satisfying to do. Another thing is that after playing a whole bunch of Wuthering Waves, I feel like in that game, parries and perfect dodges don't really do anything. And that's been one of my big disappointments about Wuthering Waves. But coming back to Zenless Zone Zero and doing parries and perfect dodges in this game, I definitely feel like they are more impactful in this game, and I really appreciate that. So I would say that those were the three biggest things that I hated about Zenless Zone Zero. Was the story, the characters, and the combat. And my opinion on all three of those things now has completely changed. Now, I do still have issues with other aspects of the game, like the music and the UI. The music has kind of been, it's been pretty hit or miss for me. There hasn't been many, I feel like most of the songs in this game, I'm just kind of like, not really for me. There's been a few I liked, and there's been some that I really dislike. I feel like the few that I like have mostly just been in the story, and I only got to hear them like once. And I would say that the song that I hate the most, that drives me freaking insane, is the music that plays when you're doing summons. I absolutely detest that song. It sounds so freaking horrendous. And when you get a 5-star, it somehow gets even worse. So I'm at the point now where if I'm ever going to do summons in this game, I have to go and turn the music off. And I'm still not the biggest fan of the UI in this game. There's some aspects of it that I just get used to over time and it doesn't really bother me anymore. But there's still several things that I think are rather annoying. So some examples of that would be this DM menu here, where you can do your character invites. Or more specifically, if I go to this menu here, I feel like this menu is kind of clunky and awkward to navigate. And I like coming to this menu just to check how much like friendship level or trust or whatever it's called that I have with my characters. So I can just like see the whole bar of it there. But I find it a lot easier to like navigate to a different character using the other menu. The thing is, if I want to back out to that menu, it backs me out of the whole thing. And then I have to open it back up, go back over here, and you should just be able to back out to this screen. And it's so annoying that it doesn't do that and instead just closes everything. So another example here is this is the weekly reward screen. And you can see that there's a panel on the right side that lists kind of like your rewards for getting points, right? You have this vertical list of rewards that you get. Now, when I want to claim rewards from this, you can see in the bottom right, I just press square. Just pressing square will claim those rewards. Now, if I come to this menu here, which I believe this is a returning player event, so some of you might not have seen this before, but this also has a panel on the right side with a vertical list of point rewards. Now the thing is, in this menu, you don't press square to claim the point rewards. You have to actually go over here and select them individually to claim them. It's just really weird. It's the exact same type of rewards panel, but the way you claim the rewards is completely different. At least on a controller anyways. I have no idea if keyboard and mouse it's the same. But on controller it's totally different. On the weekly reward screen you can't even scroll over here with a controller. So I don't know why they have two versions of the same exact rewards panel and they work totally differently. Like, you really got to have consistency with with things like that. I'm also not a fan of how the battle pass looks. I think everything here is just too big, takes up too much space on the screen, and there's too much empty space in here as well. Just not a fan of the way this looks. Another thing I find really annoying is that when you're doing missions at the HDD, each mission advances like time forward, and then when you get to night and you do another mission, afterwards the game wants to take you out of the mission screen and fade to black with white text and say, oh, it's late, you had to go to sleep, blah blah blah, and then it fades back in and you can keep playing the game. I find that to be very annoying. I don't know why they do that. Like, if I'm sitting in the mission screen just taking missions, just let me keep doing that. Don't take me out of the gameplay to tell me that my character's going to sleep. I don't care. I don't give a shit what time of day it is in game. I just want to keep doing missions. Stop taking me out of the mission screen to tell me my character went to sleep. I think back in 1.0 you had to actually go up to your bed to sleep, so I think they've at least improved upon that, but it's still really annoying, and they should just get rid of it completely. Like, you have that option when you're doing like farming stages. They have like the option that says immersive mode that you turn on. I don't know why having immersive mode on means the time of day doesn't change. That doesn't really make sense to me. What they should call it is the good game design mode. And they should also add that to the HDD. So yeah, with all that said, I'm enjoying Zenless Zone Zero quite a bit now, to my surprise. I don't know if I'm going to commit to playing it long term. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm just doing dailies. I still have, content to do in the game, so like I'm still enjoying that. I'm not sure what the, like just daily grind is going to feel like, or if I'm going to want to do that. So I don't know yet what the daily grind is going to feel like, and if that's something I'm going to want to keep doing every day long term. But we'll see. There is definitely a chance that Zenless Zone Zero becomes one of my main games from here on out. But anyways, I think that's all I wanted to say. So until my next video, I will see you later.